So I've been talking, well, in the last video about how you come back from failure. And the example I used was a panic attack. So that kind of catastrophic feeling, and how you come back from something like that, or from any kind of failure, but especially one that really knocks your confidence down. And this is a follow-on video from that, so I'll talk about another technique. And I'm kind of making this up as I go, but the essence of this is to realize that you're more than the bad thing that happened. You're more than the mistake you made. So in my example, it was an example of a panic attack, and how did I deal with that? Well, by a number of things. I reminded myself of my strengths. I did that by reminding myself of particularly hard times I've gone through and how I've come back from them, and also by reminding myself of my successes. So in terms of my successes, for example, I reminded myself that even though I had a panic attack in front of a room of 50 people, in the past I was a musician, and I was a professional musician when I was young for a few years. I made a living for a couple of years out of it. So I played in front of a lot of people, and it was jazz. It was improvisational music. I mean, that's not how I made the living. You don't make too much money out of jazz, you make more money out of corporate gigs, but I was playing improvisational, dangerous music, as it were, and I overcame the nerves skillfully. I've presented conference papers in philosophy to rooms of hundreds of people, and when I do that, I tend to go off script a lot, because you are being trained in an academic style. You write and you read in that style, and then I quickly realise that's I don't think that's as good as using a very common way of speaking, even if it means, like I am now, that I tend to sort of bumble around a bit with my words. Finding natural ways of speaking to the audience are more important. So I'd go off script. I had that confidence. Okay, so I used examples of how I'd done things well in the past in this kind of context. But as I say, I also reminded myself that I'd overcome difficulties in the past. And there's a whole mode of therapy, or there's a whole school of therapy based on sort of looking at how you've overcome challenges in the past. It's called solution focused therapy. And the essence of it is to ask the person a question like, when you were last in a difficult situation like this, what did you do that helped you to overcome it? Now, the doing means, what did you think? What actions did you take? So it's not just what happened that enabled you to overcome it, because maybe some of the things that happened were out of your hands. Somebody came and rescued me, great. But what did you do? What things have you done in the past? What strengths have you shown to get through adversity? So also reminding yourself of that, and maybe taking a bit of time to reflect on what your strengths are that enable you to get through adversities like this. In my ebook there's a link to a strengths assessment, and the VIA Strengths Survey. If you Google that, you'll find this assessment. It's really worth doing, and looking at the top 5 strengths and thinking about how you use them in context of adversity. But I'll leave it there for today. It's really about realising that you're more than your mistake, and you can do that in different ways. And one is that you can remind yourself of ways that you've succeeded in this context in the past. So I had a panic attack talking in front of people. Well, I've given conference papers in the past. I've performed in context and been fine. So I have it inside me. This is not like a permanent thing about me. This is a temporary thing that's happened. Clearly, I've got the capacity to be confident in front of people. That's one thing. Then the other thing is, have I overcome adversity like this in the past? And if I have, which, just get creative in your reflection, and you'll realise you have in some sort or another, what have I done? What are the strengths I have, the abilities I have to get through this kind of situation? And so what can I do now? How can I use those now? Then you've got hope, you've got strength, you've got a way forward, even if it's not fully formed, even if it's still relatively foggy, you've got some direction for moving forward, and that's enough because it's about one step at a time. Alright, I'll leave it there. I'm going to make a few more videos around this theme, so I'll see you tomorrow with another video.